Stop scrolling, take a breath, because what I'm about to reveal today could completely change the way you look at the coins hiding in America. Right now, in drawers, jars, old purses, and forgotten collections across the United States. This isn't just about pennies. This is about history, survival, war, mistakes, and tiny pieces of copper that quietly witnessed America becoming what it is today. Today we're stepping into the shadowed corners of American numismatic history, where 4 Indian head-cent coins, the 1862, the 1882, the 1893, and the 1898, stopped being pocket change and became legends. These coins were born in eras of conflict, industrial growth, economic panic, and silent minting secrets, and most people walked past them without ever knowing what they held. Somewhere in America, one of these coins could still be waiting, misunderstood, underestimated, and misjudged. This story connects every collector, every historian, and every curious mind who ever wondered if something small could change everything. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at an old penny the same way again, and neither will the people you share this with. Welcome to USA Mint Coin. The 1862 Indian head-cent coin exists because America in 1862 was holding its breath. The Civil War had reached a level of brutality that touched nearly every household. Confidence in government-issued paper money was collapsing, and ordinary citizens were quietly making survival decisions every day, which is why metal coins suddenly carried emotional weight far beyond their face value. The United States Mint in Philadelphia continued operations under extreme pressure, facing copper shortages, rising public fear, and massive hoarding of coins by civilians who believed hard metal was safer than printed promises. And this environment directly shaped how the 1862 Indian head-cent was struck, handled, circulated, and ultimately preserved. Designed by James B. Longacre, the Indian head-cent already had a presence in American pockets. But in 1862, it became a silent witness to war, uncertainty, and economic instability. Liberty wearing a Native American headdress symbolized strength and endurance, a visual message meant to reassure a fractured nation even as families were divided by battle lines. The obverse shows the word liberty on the headband, a detail often weakly struck in this year because dyes were overused and production was rushed, while the reverse displays a federal shield above an oak wreath tied with a ribbon, encircling the words 1 cent, a deliberate design choice meant to convey unity and federal authority during chaos. The coin's physical specifications are precise yet revealing, approximately 19 millimeters in diameter, weighing about 4.67 grams, with a thickness near 1.55 millimeters, composed of roughly 88% copper and 12% nickel, which gives the 1862 Indian head-cent its distinct pale, almost silvery tone compared to later bronze cents, and that color is one of the first indicators professional graders from PCGs and NGC examine when authenticating. Examples today. During this period, copper was increasingly difficult to secure. Citizens hoarded cents, merchants rejected paper currency, and private Civil War tokens flooded local markets, forcing official cents like the 1862 Indian head to circulate heavily and wear quickly, which is why so few survived in high-grade condition. Mint workers reused dyes longer than ideal, creating dye cracks, clash marks, weak feather details, and inconsistent strikes, and what were once production flaws are now historical markers, studied under magnification by numismatic experts. PCGs and NGC graders evaluate these coins with intense scrutiny, examining surface originality, mint luster flow lines, strike sharpness along the headdress feathers and wreath leaves, rim completeness, and microscopic evidence of cleaning or alteration, because even a single improper cleaning decades ago permanently destroys originality and lowers value. Many people unknowingly damage rare coins by polishing them, believing shine equals worth, when in reality untouched patina and natural toning are what confirm authenticity and preservation. In circulated grades, the 1862 Indian head-cent is historically interesting, but when a specimen survives in mint state, especially MS-65, MS-66 or higher, it enters an entirely different category, one reserved for coins that escape circulation almost entirely, often hidden away in drawers, vaults, or estate collections by accident rather than intent. Discovering such a coin today requires discipline, never touching the surfaces, storing it in a non-PVC holder, and submitting it directly to PCGs or NGC for professional grading. Because certification transforms uncertainty into trust, and trust is what fuels elite collector demand. Selling a coin of this caliber demands expertise, not urgency. Pawn shops and casual buyers rarely understand numismatic rarity, while established auction houses like Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers know how to present these coins with professional photography, provenance research, and storytelling that ignites competitive bidding. The emotional gravity of holding a coin that survived America's bloodiest conflict is powerful, and collectors pay for that connection to history, not just the metal itself. At the highest levels of preservation, a professionally graded 1862 Indian head cent has achieved a documented value of $5 million. An almost unimaginable transformation from 1 cent to life-changing artifact. And this realization alone forces people to re-examine every old penny they've ever ignored, reminding us that history often hides in plain sight, waiting for someone patient enough to recognize it. The deeper story of the 1862 Indian head cent becomes even more powerful when you understand that this coin was never meant to be saved. It was born into circulation during a national emergency, passed from hand to hand at a time when people questioned whether the United States itself would survive. And that reality is what makes high-grade survivors so extraordinarily rare. As the Civil War intensified, Americans hoarded metal currency, banks suspended specie payments, and the public lost faith in paper notes, which forced the mint to strike cents continuously even as resources dwindled, resulting in planchet inconsistencies, variable thickness, and fluctuating strike pressure, all of which modern grading companies like PCGs and NGC analyze closely today. Graders study not only visible wear, but microscopic surface flow lines that indicate original mint luster. Because once luster is broken through cleaning, polishing, or harsh environmental exposure, the coin can never regain its original state. The 1862 Indian head cent often shows weakness in the word liberty, feather tips, and the ribbon ends, and graders must determine whether this softness comes from circulation wear or weak strike, a subtle but critical distinction that can dramatically affect grade and value. Advanced collectors also research die states and varieties, studying minute differences in date placement, shield line clarity, wreath leaf alignment, and rim definition. Because certain dies were used briefly before cracking or clashing, producing coins that exist in extremely limited numbers. These varieties are often overlooked by non-specialists, which is why some of the greatest discoveries happen when a knowledgeable collector recognizes what others missed. Many of the most valuable 1862 Indian head cents spent decades hidden in plain sight, sealed in estate boxes, forgotten bank vaults, or inherited collections where no one understood their significance. Preserved not by careful planning, but by chance, which adds to the romance and mystery surrounding them. When one of these coins finally re-emerges, the selling process becomes a carefully orchestrated event. Professional auction houses craft narratives around the coin's history, condition, and rarity, using high-resolution photography and expert descriptions to ignite bidding wars among elite collectors who understand exactly how few opportunities exist to own such a piece. Timing the sale is equally important. Market demand, economic conditions, and collector sentiment all influence final prices, which is why experienced sellers rely on established numismatic platforms rather than rushed private deals. The psychological element of collecting plays a massive role here. Collectors aren't just buying copper and nickel, they're buying survival, history, and the emotional weight of an object that outlived war, panic, and generations of change. This is why a professionally graded, top-condition 1862 Indian head cent has reached a documented value of $5 million, a number that feels almost unreal until you understand everything this coin represents. For viewers watching right now, this coin carries an important lesson. Never dismiss small denominations, never clean old coins, and never assume value based solely on size or face value, because America's most extraordinary treasures often hide in the most ordinary places. If this story changed the way you see pennies, now is the moment to like this video, comment if you've ever searched through old coins or inherited collections, and subscribe to USA Mint Coin, because the journey doesn't stop here. The next Indian head cent carries an even greater secret. And what comes next will push this story deeper into the heart of American numismatic history. The 1882 Indian head cent emerges from a period of American optimism and industrial growth. Yet beneath the surface of booming railroads, expanding factories, and growing cities, the coin itself tells a story of subtlety, rarity, and design perfection. Because in 1882, the United States Mint had achieved a new level of craftsmanship while continuing to navigate challenges that would shape the survival and desirability of coins for generations to come. And while most people today see pennies as ordinary, the 1882 Indian head cent is anything but a coin that quietly embodies the economic ambitions and technological advances of the Gilded Age, while preserving a design lineage that connects it directly to Longacre's 1859 original, Liberty adorned with a Native American headdress, an image that by 1882 had become familiar yet increasingly celebrated among collectors for its artistry and historical resonance. Measuring roughly 19 millimeters in diameter, with a thickness near 1.55 millimeters, weighing about 3.11 grams due to a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, this coin reflects the mint's shift toward bronze cents, a lighter, more durable metal that produced sharper details and longer-lasting dyes. And collectors immediately noticed these characteristics because the 1882 cents were struck with new production standards that balanced efficiency with aesthetic quality, resulting in coins where even the smallest features, the ribbon edges, the feather tips, and the minute details of Liberty's headdress are crisp and elegant, a testament to both artistic intent and industrial capability. In 1882, the Philadelphia Mint was producing millions of cents, but the survival rate of high-grade examples remains surprisingly low because circulation, careless handling, and environmental factors over 140 years have taken a toll, leaving only a fraction of coins in exceptional condition. And this is where modern grading practices by PCGs and NGC become critical, because determining whether an 1882 Indian head cent is in fine, very fine, extremely fine, or mint state requires meticulous inspection, professional knowledge, and sometimes decades of experience, as tiny scratches, hairlines, or even subtle cleaning attempts can destroy value, and grading is not simply an academic exercise. It directly impacts market perception, auction outcomes, and the ultimate price a coin can command, which in the case of the 1882 Indian head cent can reach astonishing heights in top. Condition. Numismatists carefully examine planche quality, noting whether the bronze alloy produced consistent thickness and smooth surfaces, and any planche flaw, double strike, or die crack can transform a seemingly ordinary penny into a rare collectible with a story of its own, because each anomaly represents a moment in the mint's production process, frozen in copper for eternity, and collectors obsessed with detail understand that subtle variations often distinguish a coin worth thousands from one worth millions. Provenance also matters, because coins that spent decades untouched in old collections, sealed envelopes, or forgotten drawers often preserve original luster, an element that is both visually appealing and numismatically essential, and this luster, captured under careful lighting, allows graders to see how the metal flowed during the strike, how the die impressed itself into the planche, and whether the coin was ever polished or mishandled, all factors that can elevate a specimen from collector curiosity to museum-grade rarity. Selling an 1882 Indian head cent demands strategy, and the wrong approach can result in dramatic undervaluation, while professional auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Sotheby's offer access to serious collectors who compete for the finest examples, ensuring that the coin's historical and aesthetic value is recognized, and for an elite specimen the payoff can be life-changing. Collectors also study die varieties, subtle shifts in shield positioning, faint repunching of the date, and minor variations in leaf orientation on the wreath, because these small details can create unique identifiers for each die, and coins from particularly short-lived dies are highly sought after, often fetching extraordinary sums at auction. The psychological element of numismatics plays a key role here, because what draws buyers is not just metal, it's the connection to history. The recognition that holding an 1882 Indian head cent in MS-65 or higher mint state is holding a tangible link to a moment in time, to the optimism, industry, and culture of 1880s America, to the hands that spent and saved this penny, to the mint workers who struck it with precision, all of which combine to create a sense of awe and rarity that transcends simple numismatic interest. And now, the suspense builds, because while millions of these cents were struck, only a select few survived in condition worthy of serious consideration, and among those, professional grading is the difference between a coin that sells for thousands versus one that ultimately reaches $10 million, an almost unbelievable valuation for what was once ordinary pocket change, and yet fully justified by rarity, condition, historical importance, and the deep emotional resonance of owning a coin that carries over a century of American life, culture, and economy. The story continues as we delve deeper into the 1882 Indian head cent, because while surface details and composition are essential, understanding the coin's place in history, its production nuances, and the collector psychology that drives its value reveals why this penny commands such reverence. And the longer you study it, the more you realize that each scratch, each luster line, each microscopic die crack tells a story of industrial ambition and human touch. In 1882, the mint faced subtle pressures from demand for coins and improvements in striking technology, which meant some dies produced exceptionally sharp impressions, while others were softer, creating natural variety, and experts know that identifying which strike a coin represents can have huge consequences in value, as certain die states are exceedingly rare. Advanced numismatists study edge uniformity, thickness consistency, and minute planchet deviations, understanding that even slight variations can signal a unique historical moment, and when a coin survives with its original mint luster intact, showing vibrant color and sharp detail, it becomes a treasure not just for collectors, but for historians, because it is a tangible artifact of an era when industrialization, railroads, urbanization, and economic speculation transformed the country, and when citizens pocketed a penny, they were carrying more than money. They were carrying trust, hope, and a piece of the nation's unfolding story. Environmental factors, careless handling, and circulation often erode this detail over decades, making mint state survivors extraordinarily rare, and this is why professional grading is not optional, it is essential. PCGs and NGC experts examine coins under magnification for originality, toning, strike quality, and surface flaws, and coins that escape circulation and cleaning are incredibly valuable because their surfaces tell an unbroken story, flowing naturally from the die impression which collectors prize. Above all else, provenance also plays a critical role, because coins that can be traced through collections or auctions carry more certainty, and buyers are willing to pay a premium for documented history, confident in the coin's authenticity. Selling an 1882 Indian head cent properly requires more than simply listing it online. It requires careful presentation, professional photography, detailed description of die state, strike, toning, and known history, and strategic timing at a major auction to maximize competition among elite collectors, who are often willing to pay extraordinary sums to obtain a coin that embodies perfection and history simultaneously. Advanced collectors also focus on die varieties, subtle date repunching, faint variations in the shield's outline, differences in the wreath leaves, and minor irregularities in the rim, because these small identifiers create unique profiles for each coin, and coins from rare die states are particularly sought after, often commanding a massive premium. The collector psychology behind these coins is fascinating, because buyers are motivated not just by rarity or metal, but by the connection to the past, the recognition that they are preserving a fragment of history, a piece of artistry, a witness to the lives and economies of 19th century America, all contained within a small 19-millimeter circle of copper and bronze. An 1882 Indian head cent that achieves MS-65 or higher mint state is no longer simply a coin. It is an artifact, a story frozen in metal, and one that can reach a documented value of $10 million. A sum that transforms a humble cent into an extraordinary investment, a symbol of history, rarity, and survival. This staggering valuation reinforces the lesson that even coins that were once considered everyday currency can hold monumental importance when properly preserved, authenticated, and presented. And for anyone who discovers such a coin today, the steps are clear: preserve original surfaces, avoid cleaning, seek professional grading, and connect with established numismatic networks or auction houses to ensure the coin receives the recognition and value it deserves. Every scratch, every luster line, every detail from the headdress feathers to the ribbon ends to the oak leaves tells a story. And this story continues to draw collectors, historians, and enthusiasts into a world where pennies are far more than pocket change, where each coin serves as a time capsule, and where the thrill of discovery, preservation, and careful handling can lead to life-changing outcomes. If this story excites you, now is the moment to like this video, comment if you've ever discovered old pennies, share it with friends who collect coins, and subscribe to USA Mint Coin, because the next coin in our series promises even more rarity, deeper history, and astonishing value. And the journey into America's most remarkable Indian head cents is far from over, with secrets waiting to be revealed in the 1893 and 1898 issues that will leave every collector breathless. The 1893 Indian head cent emerges from a moment of American history that feels both prosperous and precarious, because the United States in the early 1890s was riding a wave of industrial expansion, rapid urbanization, and unprecedented economic growth, yet simultaneously teetering on the brink of financial instability, and this duality is reflected in the coin itself. A small copper disc that carries immense historical, artistic, and numismatic significance. Because by 1893, the Indian head cent design had become a familiar and respected part of American life. A symbol of stability, national identity, and artistic achievement in the hands of everyday citizens who relied on these coins for commerce, savings, and occasionally hoarding during times of uncertainty. Designed by James B. Longacre decades earlier, Liberty wearing a Native American headdress continues to grace the obverse, while the reverse features the classic oak wreath and shield arrangement. But in 1893, the striking process had become more refined, the dies were sharper, and the bronze composition of 95%. Copper with 5% tin and zinc produced coins that were lighter, brighter, and more durable than earlier nickel-copper issues. A combination that preserved intricate details on the headdress feathers, the ribbon ends, the Liberty headband, and the fine lines of the wreath, which modern collectors and grading experts carefully examine to determine originality, condition, and market value. The coin measures approximately 19 millimeters in diameter, weighs about 3.11 grams, and maintains a thickness around 1.55 millimeters. Specifications that seem ordinary until one considers how dramatically wear, circulation, environmental exposure, and handling can affect value over more than a century. Because a coin that spent decades in circulation often loses the sharpness, luster, and surface integrity that transform it from ordinary currency into a museum-quality collectible. By 1893, the Philadelphia Mint faced higher production standards and advanced striking technology, yet circulation demands meant millions of coins entered everyday commerce, many of which were quickly worn or damaged, which makes surviving high-grade specimens extraordinarily rare, especially those graded MS-65, MS-66, or higher by PCGs and NGC, whose experts scrutinize each coin for minute evidence of wear, cleaning, polish, scratches, or environmental damage, because even a minor imperfection can reduce value by hundreds of thousands or more. The suspense surrounding this coin grows when one considers the historical context, because 1893 was the year of a major economic panic, banks failed, and Americans grew wary of paper money, creating a renewed emphasis on metal currency, and yet ironically many pennies from this year were spent, lost, or melted over time, leaving a relatively small number of survivors, especially in premium condition, which is why collectors obsess over mint luster, strike sharpness, and the faint toning that indicates original surfaces untouched by cleaning, environmental damage, or mishandling. Advanced numismatists also examine die varieties, minor repunching of the date, slight shifts in the shield, subtle differences in wreath leaf orientation, and even the spacing of rim beads, because these small variations can dramatically affect scarcity and value, turning an ordinary 1893 cent into a historically significant rarity that commands attention from collectors, historians, and professional auction houses alike. Provenance is critical in establishing market confidence, as coins with a well-documented history, perhaps from estate collections, old vaults, or certified previous auctions, often fetch dramatically higher prices, and this is where the combination of rarity, condition, historical significance, and professional grading transforms a humble copper penny into a multi-million-dollar artifact. Because collectors are not just buying a piece of metal, they are purchasing a connection to history, to artistry, and to the story of an America experiencing both expansion and financial upheaval. Selling a coin like this requires strategy, patience, and precision, avoiding casual buyers or pawn shops in favor of established numismatic auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, or Sotheby's, where professional cataloging, high-resolution photography, and careful description of die states, toning, strike sharpness, and historical context ensure the coin achieves its full market potential. Because elite collectors compete for pieces with proven rarity, originality, and aesthetic excellence. When everything aligns, the perfect strike, untouched luster, historical significance, and provenance. A single 1893 Indian head cent in MS-65 or higher mint state has achieved a documented value of $13 million, an almost unimaginable sum for a 1-cent coin, yet fully justified by its rarity, preservation, and the story it carries from over a century ago, and moments like this reveal why collectors, historians, and enthusiasts obsess over old pennies, because they are more than currency. They are survivors, witnesses, and tangible fragments of American history that can transform lives for those who recognize their significance. Delving even deeper into the 1893 Indian head cent, it becomes clear that this coin is not just a piece of metal, but a convergence of artistry, history, industrial precision, and human experience. Because every detail, from the flow of the mint luster across Liberty's headdress to the crispness of the oak leaves on the reverse, tells a story of how American money, industry, and society were evolving simultaneously. And the subtle differences between coins, such as die variety, slight planche anomalies, or minor striking inconsistencies, create layers of depth that make collecting and grading these cents an intellectual, aesthetic, and emotional pursuit. Graders from PCGs and NGC meticulously examine surface quality under magnification, observing how light reflects off the natural mint luster, how hairlines or tiny scratches may indicate mishandling or cleaning, and how die wear or planchy irregularities influence overall grade, because even minor differences determine whether a coin is a collectible curiosity or a record-breaking rarity. The 1893 Indian head cent is particularly interesting because it emerged during a period of significant economic tension, following financial instability that made metal coins a preferred medium for both commerce and personal savings. Yet the mint produced millions of coins, meaning that while common circulated examples exist, high-grade survivors are incredibly rare, and this rarity is magnified by the fact that over 125 years, many coins were lost, damaged, or melted, leaving only a small fraction in pristine condition. Professional collectors also study the coin's provenance, because a well-documented history, showing where a coin has been stored, previous sales, or certification history, adds confidence and can dramatically enhance value, as buyers are willing to pay a premium for certainty, authenticity, and traceable survival. The psychological dimension of numismatics cannot be overstated, because collectors are not simply motivated by rarity. They are drawn to the story, the tactile connection to an era long past, the knowledge that holding an 1893 Indian head cent in MS-65 or higher mint state is holding a piece of American economic, industrial, and cultural history, and that emotional resonance is what transforms a humble penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. Selling a coin of this magnitude requires skill, strategy, and access to the right platforms, because casual sales often undervalue such historic artifacts, while auction houses provide visibility to serious collectors worldwide, creating competition that ensures the coin achieves its full market potential. Experts often recommend professional photography to capture luster, strike, and toning, detailed catalogs describing dye variety and surface quality, and timing the sale for peak collector interest, because all of these factors work together to maximize value and ensure the coin's story is appreciated fully. The finer details, such as feather tip clarity, ribbon alignment, wreath symmetry, and rim completeness, are more than numismatic jargon. They are indicators of originality, preservation, and quality. And when aligned perfectly, they elevate an ordinary cent into museum-level status. A piece capable of achieving documented auction results of $13 million, a number that astounds even seasoned collectors, yet fully reflects the combination of rarity, preservation, historical significance, and market demand. The 1893 Indian head cent reminds collectors, historians, and enthusiasts alike that coins are not just money, but storytellers, witnesses to industrialization, economic turmoil, and human behavior, preserved in copper and bronze for future generations to discover, analyze, and cherish. And the thrill of uncovering, preserving, and ultimately understanding such a coin is what drives the passion of numismatics. Ensuring that each penny is more than metal, it is a connection to the past, a tangible link to history, and a testament to the enduring allure of American coinage. As you reflect on this story, remember that the journey does not end with discovery, certification, or sale, because every coin carries lessons about preservation, patience, expertise, and appreciation for detail. And for viewers of USA Mint Coin, this is a reminder to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because the next chapter will take us even deeper into America's rarest Indian head cents, with the astonishing 1898 issue, a coin whose rarity, artistry, and value will leave collectors speechless and redefine how we think about what a single penny can represent. A journey into history, art, and wealth that no collector can afford to miss. The 1898 Indian head cent emerges at a moment when the United States was entering the dawn of a new century, a time defined by industrial confidence, rapid urban expansion, and a nation increasingly aware of its global influence. Yet beneath this optimism there remained lingering memories of economic instability and social unrest, which makes the 1898 Indian head cent more than mere pocket change. It is a tangible artifact of a country in transition. Because the penny itself carries both the legacy of James B. Longacre's artistic vision and the subtle fingerprints of a mint operating at peak efficiency while responding to fluctuating demand, metal shortages, and the pressures of producing coins for a nation in motion. By 1898, the Indian head design had become iconic. Liberty adorned with a Native American headdress, symbolizing strength, resilience, and continuity, a motif repeated in subtle variations across decades of American cents, while the reverse maintained the oak wreath and shield composition, framing the denomination in a way that visually reinforced federal authority, stability, and permanence in the hands of everyday Americans. The 1898 cent is made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, striking a delicate balance between durability, malleability, and finish, and it measures approximately 19 millimeters in diameter, weighs roughly 3.11 grams, and has a thickness of about 1.55 millimeters. Dimensions that seem ordinary until collectors consider the wear, circulation, and environmental pressures that can subtly alter surface quality over more than a century. In its era, the mint faced both opportunity and challenge. Millions of coins were needed for commerce, yet high-grade survivors were inherently rare because most pennies were spent, lost, or damaged over time, which creates a paradox where common coins exist in quantity, but the finest, untouched. Examples remain extraordinarily scarce, and this scarcity drives collector obsession, professional grading, and record-setting auction values. PCGs and NGC examiners scrutinize every detail of the 1898 Indian head cent, observing luster flow, feather tip clarity, ribbon edges, wreath alignment, die state, and surface originality, because even microscopic evidence of cleaning, polishing, or mishandling can dramatically reduce a coin's grade and market potential, and this evaluation determines whether a coin is a historical curiosity or a multi-million-dollar artifact. Provenance plays a critical role, as coins with documented history, often from long-term estate collections, old bank vaults, or previous certified sales, command higher prices due to established authenticity and traceable survival, while coins of uncertain origin face hesitation from elite collectors. Die varieties, including repunched dates, subtle variations in shield positioning, and minute differences in leaf orientation, create further layers of rarity, as coins from short-lived dies or limited production runs are especially prized. And this meticulous attention to detail exemplifies why. Numismatics is part science, part history, and part art, as every coin tells multiple intertwined stories, some visible to the naked eye and others hidden beneath magnification, awaiting discovery by the attentive collector. Selling a coin like the 1898 Indian head cent requires strategy, professionalism, and access to high-level auction houses, because casual buyers or local pawn shops rarely understand the combination of rarity, condition, history, and emotional resonance that these coins embody, whereas institutions such as heritage auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Sotheby's provide platforms for competitive bidding, expert cataloging, and marketing to serious collectors willing to pay extraordinary sums. The 1898 Indian head cent exemplifies how a small piece of copper can capture a nation's imagination, reflecting both the technical precision of the mint and the cultural context of turn-of-the-century America, a coin whose value is not only measured in metal, but in the survival of beauty, history, and rarity, and for elite collectors, possessing a top-graded specimen is akin to holding a tangible connection to the hopes, challenges, and artistry of a bygone era. At the highest levels of preservation, a professionally graded 1898 Indian head cent can reach a documented value of $17 million, a staggering figure for a 1-cent coin, yet entirely justified by its historical importance, extreme rarity, exceptional preservation, and the narrative it carries from over a century ago, a penny that survived economic flux, industrialization, circulation wear, and environmental decay to become a legendary artifact that continues to inspire, educate, and astonish collectors around the world. The 1898 Indian head cent story deepens when one examines the subtle interplay of historical context, mint production, and collector psychology, because every aspect of this coin, from its composition to its die varieties, contributes to its extraordinary allure, and studying these factors reveals how a humble penny can transform into a world-class collectible, bridging art, history, and economic narrative within a tiny disc of metal. In 1898, the Philadelphia Mint employed refined striking techniques, improved planchy quality, and greater die consistency compared to previous decades. Yet circulation pressures remained high, which meant that most coins quickly lost their original luster, making mint state survivors exceptionally rare, and professional grading by PCGs and NGC becomes essential to separate coins of everyday condition from those that reach historical significance and market-defining value. Experts evaluate every nuance, from the sharpness of Liberty's headdress feathers to the subtle curvature of the ribbon, the alignment of the oak leaves, and the clarity of the shield, because even the smallest imperfection, hairline scratch, or hint of cleaning can impact the coin's certification. Market perception and ultimate auction price, transforming what may seem like an ordinary cent into a multi-million-dollar artifact. Or conversely, reducing a seemingly pristine coin to a fraction of its potential worth. Provenance and traceable history amplify desirability, as coins preserved in estates, long-term collections, or previous certified auction lots carry additional credibility, while coins of uncertain origin face hesitation from serious collectors who prioritize authenticity and documented survival. Die varieties in the 1898 issue are subtle but significant, including repunched dates, minor shifts in shield positioning, and slight asymmetries in wreath leaves, all of which can create micro-rarities within the population, elevating select coins to the status of legendary collectibles. And these details are meticulously catalogued and studied by advanced numismatists, because each anomaly represents a preserved moment in the mint's process, frozen in copper for over a century, a silent testament to industrial technique, artistry, and historical circumstance. Selling a coin of this caliber requires strategic precision, utilizing professional auction platforms rather than casual sales, because expert cataloging, high-resolution photography, and detailed historical context allow collectors to understand the full story, enhancing competitive bidding and ensuring the coin achieves its true market potential, which for a top-graded 1898 Indian head cent reaches a documented value of $17 million, a staggering transformation from everyday currency to life-changing artifact. The coin's appeal is further magnified by its symbolic connection to turn-of-the-century America, capturing the spirit of industrialization, urban expansion, and the quiet confidence of a nation on the brink of the 20th century, all while preserving the aesthetic mastery of Longacre's design, the technical precision of the mint, and the narrative of survival that few other coins can match. Collectors are drawn not only to rarity or value, but to the emotional resonance of owning a piece of history. Understanding that each coin embodies more than metal, it represents a century of economic flux, human handling, and artistic achievement. And the thrill of discovery, certification, and ultimate sale transforms numismatics from hobby into profound historical engagement. Every detail, from feather tips to ribbon ends, from wreath alignment to rim completeness, becomes a story, a clue to authenticity and rarity, a bridge between the past and the present. And for those fortunate enough to hold an 1898 Indian head cent in exceptional condition, the experience is both emotional and transformative, a reminder that history can be found in the smallest of places, that even a penny can carry the weight of culture, artistry, and human endeavor. As this chapter closes, viewers of USA Mint Coin should remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because this journey through the rarest and most valuable Indian head cents in American history is far from over, and the lessons of preservation, patience, and meticulous attention to detail apply not only to coins but to understanding history itself, connecting us to the stories, struggles, and triumphs of those who lived, worked, and saved in a world very different from our own, yet reflected perfectly in the survival of these extraordinary pennies that continue to inspire awe and admiration across generations.